Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of M365 Voice. My name is Mike Madarani,
I'm Sarah Hazy.
And I'm Antonio Maya.
and we're back. A couple of weeks ago, I think, a couple of weeks ago, we were at Ignite, and lots of
We are full
announcements.
of technology.
Yes, a lot of information, a lot of announcements, a lot of cool things coming up. Um, so we thought maybe we'll do some recap as much as we can within the next 20 minutes or so, to kind of capture our favorite announcements, I think, if you want to call it, at Ignite, and what's changing.
Yes.
All right, so I guess it was all Copilot, 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 and AI. I
And
would
agents.
and agents, exactly.
Mhm. And
Oh,
oversharing.
Yes.
And I don't
yes.
mean just of your personal problems, Mike. I mean just oversharing of content
Yeah,
in SharePoint and
Mike
OneDrive.
a
never
given.
overshares.
That's a given, huh? That does not
Like it.
require not an announcement for this.
So the big one that we were talking about literally right away at Ignite, and I know we talked about it all week when the three of us were there in person, was the SharePoint Advanced Management licensing change that, and I think, Mike, you're going to correct me if I get this wrong, but they are now basically giving you SharePoint Advanced Management for free with even a single Copilot license purchase for your organization.
That is correct. Yes. So if you're licensed with Copilot and all you need is one, it will unlock the SharePoint Advanced Management. Not all the features, but at least the features that most of the clients will care about, that will help them get their tenant ready into Copilot.
Correct. And I think that's a key thing, is that clearly Microsoft has invested in, financially and otherwise, in Copilot. Clearly they need to drive licensing of Copilot, right? Because I mean, they're not a non-for-profit company. They need to be able to um, make good on that investment. But this isn't just any miscellaneous licensing change. It's specifically because SharePoint Advanced Management has some really important oversharing and other reporting functions that can help you get your content and get your tenant in a state where you can use Copilot safely.
Exactly.
Very much. And there was some newish features that have come to SharePoint Advanced Management too. And Mike, you said it was just some of the features that are unlocked. So keep me honest on this, if these are included in that free SharePoint Advanced Management license with Copilot. So one of the interesting ones is restricted content discovery. So the ability to restrict sites from being included in Copilot responses.
That's correct.
Without
That's
breaking
included.
other search-related features,
Exactly.
which is important.
Yep.
So that's one. And then the other one is to be able to restrict content that's labeled a certain way with sensitivity labels, also from being used in Copilot summarizations and Copilot responses.
That is correct. I think I don't know if Microsoft had published already what's not included, but my assumption was not going to be included, like the backups and archive that comes with SharePoint Advanced Management.
Right. Yeah.
So
No.
those definitely not included in the free, same if you have Copilot. But I think the rest will be.
Yeah, I actually never thought of backup and archive as part of SharePoint Advanced Management. It was part of SharePoint Premium, the family, but I
Right.
didn't think it was part of SAM. But maybe it was positioned that way sometimes. I'm not sure.
The
Yeah.
one thing I would always say is just make sure that you talk to your Microsoft account representative about
Yeah.
your specific needs and your specific organization. Terms and exclusions may or may not apply.
Yeah.
We're not licensing experts, nor do we work for Microsoft. I feel the need to say that.
It's a good disclaimer.
And this unlocking, so if you have a Copilot, it will unlock that SKU for you starting January. So it's going to take, I heard at Ignite, it might take up to 3 months to this rollout it's going to be GA starting mid-January, but it might take up to 3 months to reach every single tenant.
Yep.
Some of the other interesting things that we heard that are related to that. So the oversharing point that you brought up, Sarah. So SharePoint Advanced Management clearly has some reports, the data access governance reports that are meant to highlight oversharing. But we now see like 3 other oversharing reports available in M365. And some of that came from what was called the AI Hub in Purview to help you govern AI interactions generally, not just with Copilot. That's been renamed to Data Security Posture Management for AI, or DPSM for AI. And that contains its own, naming, quality of naming aside, that contains its own oversharing report as well, which is similar but a bit different from the DAG reports in SAM.
That's a very long title.
Who
DPSM
comes
for
up with
AI.
this stuff? Can you say it again, Antonio?
Data Security Posture Management for AI, or DPSM.
I'm never going to remember all that,
AI.
but I wanted to see if you could say it the same way twice. Because
DPSM for AI, DPSM for AI, DPSM for AI.
Okay.
There you go. Not bad.
I'm also very excited at Ignite about Copilot agents. And then I got less excited this week based on an email that I got from Microsoft. So first, what I'm excited about, Copilot agents, the ability to, and I think this is going to be key for enterprises where you want to drive learning for your users based on contents of a SharePoint site, that you're going to be able to build and deploy a Copilot agent on a given SharePoint site, or taking in content from even down to a specific document library, building an agent that basically uses the contents of that site or that document library to be able to then have people interact with that Copilot agent to be able to gather information, or for you to generate FAQs automatically using Copilot. I'm very excited about this from an enterprise learning and education perspective, because I think it gives you an amazing ability to create content and then create an agent to mine that content, where that used to be a much harder thing for a service desk or even an automated self-service attendant for IT technology needs.
Yeah, one of them is the SharePoint agent, right? So like
Yeah.
like you've mentioned SharePoint site. So you can have an agent at the SharePoint site level, or as a member of a SharePoint site, I can go and create an agent inside that document library. I can select all the content of that document library, or select specific folders inside that document library. And it's instant. It's a fraction of a second. The minute you just select whatever you want to ground the information on and just say create an agent, it will create it for you.
Can you select individual documents, like 3 out of 10 documents?
I didn't know it went down to that level. Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Cool.
The last time I tried it, it was maximum of 20 items you can select.
Okay.
So if you have more
That's
than
good.
20 files, you put them in a folder and then you select that
Select the
folder.
folder.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, Sarah,
This
why
is
were you less
exciting.
excited?
So, because I believe Microsoft is, and I'm wading into deep water here, but I believe that they're going to roll out the ability for SharePoint agents to be created in some cases by users without a Copilot license.
Oh.
And that seems lovely, except that it still uses queries that you are going to get trued up for. So let's say, Antonio, that I am unlicensed. You're a tenant administrator of our mutual tenant. I go out and figure out, and Microsoft allows me to create a Copilot agent, and then I deploy it in mass. It starts getting used in bulk. And then you, as the Microsoft contract owner, might have to true up against those queries at the end of the year, but you didn't have the ability to control via a Copilot license that I could create an agent.
Oh, really? I did not know this.
Wow. Well, it seems odd that you can create one without having a Copilot license, because you'd want to be able to test
Except
it.
they did the same thing for syntax models. If you recall, about a year and a half ago, they did the same thing with syntax models, where suddenly people without a syntax license could create like a document model. But then you needed a license either to publish it, or it needed licensing or credits to be able to run against it.
Right.
But I think it's this art of the true up. But that makes I'm excited about the capability. I'm not excited about people being unsure of what they're going to get. Now, depending on your enterprise, how often things may get used, I can just see this ballooning, and then you don't know about it as an admin.
Agreed.
Wow. Hopefully they fix that soon.
You can opt out, by the way.
Yeah.
At a tenant level, you can opt out?
Yes, you can opt out
Okay.
for that, but you have to run a command to opt out.
Okay.
So if people haven't heard about that one yet, I believe it's coming in January, this change.
And what are you opting out of exactly?
You are opting out of users without Copilot licenses being able to create agents on SharePoint sites.
Okay, that's good. That's
That
better.
sounds like a good governance activity to do.
I almost never bring something that you two haven't heard about yet. So
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's a good one. That's a really good one to call out.
Yeah. So just for the audience here, once you create that agent, it is actually a file inside your document library that you can go and share that file inside a Teams chat, for example, and then people can actually start asking that agent about doc or content inside it, which is really cool because we've always promoted good structure, good information architecture, good metadata, so it searches better for you. But now, yes, you can still do this, but now you're using your natural language to kind of create, for example, documents based on specific templates or previous documents or find information,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
agreed.
One thing I'm also looking forward to it is the Copilot in the admin centers. So as an IT pro who spent quite a bit of time in admin centers, you kind of try to memorize everything about the admin center. Anything that is not part of the UI, you just have to go and build your PowerShell knowledge base to kind of do things, and then sometimes you go and hunt for them. So having that little assistant in the admin center will definitely help us quite a bit to do things and achieve things in it.
Absolutely.
What else do we have? Also, there's so many announcements. Copilot Actions. Copilot Actions is some cool thing. We've always talked about Copilot as your assistant that's not going to do many things for you, but now we're seeing they might be doing. You can assign some tasks using Copilot. So that's a cool thing as well.
Can you assign them on a schedule yet? So to happen kind of automatically later?
I think so. I think so. That's within your Outlook. You
Okay.
can do that. Yeah.
I'd heard that was coming, but I didn't know. I wasn't sure if that was an official announcement around it.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think I've seen the demo or the video of the demo at Ignite.
Okay, cool. See what other announcements did we have?
I was very enthusiastic at Ignite about all of the accessibility sessions that they had. And I went to several that included conversations about key features related to accessibility, and an even stronger push for organizations to become aware that accessibility features for every employee can be very important, from things like immersive reader to personal captions on your team meetings, etc. And it was actually very interesting. I went to a session that was really about neurodiverse employees and how some features have actually been created, innovated, and invented for those users. For example, the raise hand button in Microsoft Teams, which I know I use on meetings every day. And it was actually created because not everyone is comfortable on a Teams meeting jumping into a conversation that's ongoing and trying to get an opportunity to speak. And if you think about that, many of us are in that situation. And certainly on some meetings, I may have trouble with that too. So being able to look at different features and how they can help all of your employees to engage more and be more involved at work, and frankly, make their lives more pleasant at work and easier. And I think is amazing.
That's
I
really
agree.
cool.
I have a couple of members of my team that use Copilot exactly in that way. They've got certain accessibility issues, or are consider themselves or considered neurodiverse, and it definitely helps them just be more productive and feel like more fulfilled and productive members of our team, right? Which is great to see.
Yeah.
And they kind of brought that to me. They're like, hey, can I have a Copilot license? Because this would really help me with this. And we were like, yeah, absolutely. We actually had people in the company that kind of gave up their Copilot license because we have only a certain number, gave up their Copilot licenses for them to be able to have them, which was really nice to see.
I like that. What's your thought on the Azure AI Foundry? I caught a glimpse of it at the keynote, and I did not have a chance to look at any other session, but it is for organizations that want to develop AI solutions and they want to test it against multiple models. So which one will give you better results? So you can test it against your own Microsoft ones or the Chat GPT ones, the OpenAIs, Google Gemini, and things like this. So you go and test your solution against all these different models, and you see what the results are, and you can decide which model you want to choose based on the solutions you're building. So I thought that was pretty cool. That will accelerate the development of AI solutions.
So I do think it is cool. It's a little bit similar to the Azure Machine Learning Workbench that they used to have, where you could do
Right.
similar. They had all kinds of machine learning models that you could choose from and test what you've built against them. This feels a little bit more holistic and focused on generative AI as opposed to general machine learning or deep learning.
Pretty
So it's
good.
good from that
Pretty cool.
perspective.
That's right.
I think it's mostly going to be targeted or used by larger organizations that are actually, because it's a big lift, right? To create your own
Mhm.
machine learning models or your own
That's right.
tools against machine learning models and pump your own data into it. Because, I think we benefit greatly from all the work Microsoft and OpenAI have done behind the scenes on Copilot, where we don't have to go train our own large language models or find the data. Just
Yeah.
finding the data to train those models is massive, right? Unless you start from like a massive data set. If you've got this idea, I want to build this thing that's based on machine learning or generative AI, and I don't have the data yet, just finding the data is a massive thing. So,
Exactly.
yeah, so I think it's good for those use cases, but I think it'd be mostly targeted at the larger organizations.
Exactly.
And so we've seen those kinds of tools built and integrated into like line of business systems. So when a company has a call center, think of a telecommunications company, and you call into their call center. They've got an app internally they use to log your case and find answers for you. And building such a thing into there is often based on, some machine learning models that they built or an application that's kind of connected to those. That's one example.
It is, yeah. You're right. It's definitely targets the big organizations.
Yeah.
There are few of them are building quite a bit, so that kind of helps them.
Yeah. Other ones out there like insurance claim processing. On one hand, to me, it's terrifying that companies are using AI to process insurance claims and determine if they're eligible or not. On the other hand, you hope that it results in faster processing times of claims and hopefully better, so.
Awesome.
One of the other items that I really liked, and we've talked about this quite a bit, Antonio, is Copilot and the ability to exclude encrypted sensitivity labels or the content that have encrypted sensitivity labels from being consumed by Copilot and being utilized for Copilot. That's really important for your company. In many cases, I know you and I talk about all the time, you should use those encrypted labels for your most sensitive content. And in many cases, that might be content that you may not want to be consumed by Copilot due to oversharing. In case it is overshared, that you still protect it from being consumed by Copilot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And before you could do that by, manipulating the rights on particular sensitivity labels and then using those labels to label the content. They've now made it easier with one of those SAM features or even DLP policies where you can exclude a particular sensitivity label from being included. That's much easier now. Yeah. The other change actually that's rolling out right now, I don't know if this is an Ignite announcement, but we're starting to see it light up in tenants. Before, when you wanted to have a retention policy that deleted your Copilot interactions, right, your prompts and responses after a certain number of days, that was combined with the Microsoft Teams chat and channel conversation, or Microsoft
right.
Teams chat retention
right.
policy. They've now split that out into Microsoft Copilot experiences so that you have a separate retention policy just for Copilot experiences that doesn't affect your Teams chat. We're
Yeah.
seeing that in some tenants or not, and not in others yet. So it's just starting to roll out.
I like that because it was, yeah, not having them combined with the Microsoft channel posts and chats was not a good way to do it. Like
Yeah.
two separate things.
Agreed. The other thing that's come out that came out around Ignite timeframe, it's not a feature, but it's more documentation. Microsoft has started to come out with these blueprints on how to roll out some of the security technology, the data security technology. They had a secure by default blueprint that was rolled out, which was good. I had some challenges with it. They've rolled out an FAQ along with it that kind of, I think, provides people a little bit more guidance on options that are available there. So that secure by default doesn't necessarily mean you're encrypting everything by default, because there's side effects to that. And at Ignite, they rolled out an oversharing blueprint. So it's a really good piece of documentation that lays out all the different capabilities you can use to assess and mitigate oversharing. Now,
cool.
it tends to focus on the features like SAM, which has the DAG reports, the data access governance reports, DPSM, data posture security management for AI, oversharing report. There is a site level oversharing report now as well in the SharePoint Admin Center. It uses that. So it focuses mostly on those. If you're in a very large enterprise scale environment, there's other features that we've talked about in past episodes that you can take advantage of, but it focuses on those more, I'll say, easily rolled out features. So yeah, the oversharing blueprint is a good one.
Lots and lots of announcements. So it's always hard to keep up, and I always have to go and check out the Ignite website and the tech community. So that was awesome. That was really cool. We've covered probably a fraction of what we heard 2 weeks ago. I'm sure lots to come as well. Stay tuned. Check out tech community. Check out the Microsoft Ignite website as well. And thanks for watching.
Thanks,
Bye, everybody.
Bye.